Loving life is easy when you are abroad, where no one knows you and you hold life in your hands all alone. You are more master of yourself than at any other time. Hey there everybody, welcome back to the channel, Life in Germany. This will be episode 3. Wait a minute, or is it 3? If you caught that, that's a head nod to the infamous bar scene in the movie Inglorious Bastards by Quentin Tarantino, where a British officer orders 3 glasses and his German counterpart notices that he doesn't count that way. And so he gives himself away in the bar scene, which is a really cool way of showing how there's a cultural difference in between the way that Anglo-Americans and German people count with their fingers. So that was kind of cool. So with that, I would like to use this analogy or this illustration as a springboard just to kind of go through and show the differences that you would find in Germany compared to America or United States when you first come over. What are kind of the, not necessarily culture shocks, but what are the things that are going to stand out right away to you that are different? So what is with the 3? Why do we do this even as Americans or British people? I think it's just easier that way. I find it easier that way because I lack the ability or the strength or the coordination to use my last 2 fingers by themselves. I can do it with the 3, but it's pretty hard with the 4. So I think as an American or a British person, it's just easier that way. You can lock the fingers in. So, but as a German person, they go by, what is your first finger you think of? Your thumb. So they use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's just something that you pick up on and something that you can kind of tell where somebody comes from, at least in Germany here. Like I said, head nod to the Inglorious Bastards. That was a really cool and clever way how they use that in that scene. So one of the first things you're going to notice when you come to Germany, especially if you're a person who likes the outdoors, anything being outdoors, hiking, biking, snowshoeing, anything like that, you're going to notice that there's going to be lots of opportunities for you to go and do those things. Right here is a perfect example. Hiking trails. There are so many hiking trails in Germany, it's hard to even fathom. Even if you don't know where a hiking trail is, you pretty much just start walking through the woods and you'll randomly run into one, and they're usually official. You can tell the official ones by the non-official ones with the little sign back there. It's usually a red arrow or square or a blue arrow or square. I'm not sure what the difference in color is, but they're all over the place and they're really cool. They all go through different parts of different woods, hardwoods, pine woods, or evergreens. So with that, let's check one out. So the little walkway, or the little trail, hiking trail, is back this way. So we'll make our way that way. But I'll show you behind me here. This is one of my favorite spots. I just love. It's when you come to Germany, it's kind of like Wisconsin. It reminds me a lot of central Wisconsin, down by Wausau, the Rib Valley area, where there's just lush fields pretty much everywhere you go. Then those fields are divided by hardwood, evergreen, pine forests, and they're just really cool to walk through. So I'll show you one of them. So we'll keep going. You see the sign here? So we got a trail here with a makeshift little gate. The thing in Germany is that you can, excuse me, get over here. You can pretty much go through all the woods that you want. They have a little clause in their, essentially their constitution, or in their law, that says that the woods are public. Anybody in the public can enjoy the woods. So whether it be just walking, or walking or hiking or jogging through the woods, or whether you're picking mushrooms or berries, you're allowed to do that. Even if the property is private, you can do that as long as you're not destroying the forest or anything like that. I think I'm not an expert on this, but I think the only way you're not allowed to come through the woods, random woods, is if there's a fenced-off area. It's just assumed that the private property owner doesn't want you going in there at all, and he put up a fence, so it's his right to do that. Pretty much anywhere you want to go, if you want to walk in the woods, if it's not protected, or if it's not on a reservation or anything like that, you can pretty much go take a walk. So I find that really cool, because I like exploring places. I like going in the woods. I like always being in the woods. So I like that side of it. The other side of it is I kind of struggle with it, because my family has a fair amount of land at home in the United States, and they pay taxes on it, and we try to take care of it and everything else. And if just random people came through our property, that would be like really offensive, and that wouldn't go over very well. So I'm a little bit, I take that into consideration when I am walking through the woods here. I respect that, and so yeah, I find that important. One of the caveats of being able to go into the woods wherever you want, essentially, is that you can't bring any motorized vehicles, so no cars, no four-wheelers, trucks, or anything like that. I think it's kind of questionable if you can bring bikes, if you're not totally destroying things and, cutting down trees and making jumps and whatnot. So yeah, we're just continuing down this public walking trail. I think it's also a little bit bigger for logging and whatnot, but it is an official walking trail. And we're in part of the forest now where you have like coniferous, so needle trees and whatnot on my right, and on my left you start to get a little bit of hardwood. And the cool thing that I really like in Michigan, we have a fair amount of oak trees, but we have lots of, at least where I lived, we have lots of maple trees. But here in Germany, especially in Bavaria, you'll see a lot of beech trees. And I've never ever seen one, at least to my knowledge, in Michigan before. There's roads named after beech trees, there's locations named after beech trees, but I've never actually seen one. But here in Germany, they stand out really well because they have this smooth bark. They're hardwood and they're great for making firewood. So they're really cool trees. I even considered I don't know, like taking seeds or whatnot and bringing it home, but that's probably not legal and wouldn't work. Okay, so here's one of those big old beech trees I was talking about. You can look and you can see how smooth the bark is compared to like a oak tree or a maple tree. They're usually very straight. They look really cool, and they just add to the whole Brothers Grimm walking through the woods. Maybe there might be a witch's cottage around the corner or something like that. So one of the other things that you're going to notice here in Germany, at least in the wintertime, it's usually warmer than in like Upper Michigan. However, like right now, I just checked the thermometer on the phone, and it's 2 degrees Celsius. So that doesn't sound very cold for somebody from Michigan. It's above freezing. I mean, it's right, you know, almost at the freezing level. But the thing here in Europe, it's a wet, damp cold. And I don't know how else to describe that. It's just this damp cold that just kind of seeps into your bones. It just kind of seeps into you, and it just, for me, it seems like it takes a longer time to just warm up afterwards. You have to go and you have to really put on a good flannel or make a hot tea just to warm up from being outside. So that's something that's really different. It's not a dry cold, it's a wet cold, damp cold. Okay, so I'm just gonna hop across the road here real quick. The other thing is, I'll show you in the car later when we drive, but the roads here are, at least in the country roads are very narrow compared to America. And that's something that you have to get used to in time. They're very curvy and they're very narrow. Okay, so we're reaching another opening here on the edge of the field. And like I said before, you'll have all those, you'll have a whole bunch of forests, and then you'll have a huge clearing, and then you'll have a cool little town in the background. And that's exactly what you see here. Not the little hunting shack, but you have this nice little town nestled here in the middle of a field, middle of a clearing. Typical here in Germany, you'll see these shooting stands and these shooting blinds scattered throughout the edges of fields, almost every 100 yards, every 200 yards or so. They're pretty much everywhere. There's an open field. You'll see a blind there. So with that, we're gonna get headed back to the car because it's freezing cold. My hands are red as can be and numb from flying the drone. So we're gonna get back and get some hot tea, and I'll show you what else there is that's different here in Germany. Driving on the roads in Germany, you're gonna notice right away the roads are much more narrow. The cars are smaller, yes, but that's because the roads are much more smaller and also more narrower. You can see here in this case, especially in the country, there's not much wiggle room to the left or the right. And you gotta watch out when you come around these corners because tractors and bikers also use the road, bicycles. And in this case, check this out, I caught this randomly. This guy comes across the middle line and he uses the entire road. And he's not the only person that I've encountered doing that. It happens pretty often, so you really got to watch out. One of the questions I get asked a lot since I've been living over here is how much does gas cost? And so I thought we'd take a look at it. So here we have all our different types of gas or fuel. Here you got diesel and you got a bunch of other ones. Let's take Super E10 as an example since that's kind of in the middle. Super E10 is essentially equivalent to 95 octane. On the board, it's listed as 139 euro cents. So that's €1.39 per liter. And currently 1 euro is equal to about $1.20. So we're going to take our €0.39 times our conversion factor. We're going to come out to $1.67. So 1 gallon is equal to 3.79 liters. So we're going to take our price, so $1.67 times 3.79, and you come out to $6.33 per gallon of 95 octane. So when you put those two prices side by side, that's a pretty big difference. Furthermore, diesel would be about $5.78 per gallon. So now you know. Fortunately for us, we only have to fill up about once a month, and it's about 40 euro. Okay, so I got some tea going on here, and I'll just show you a little bit here what's in the house that is a little bit different here in Germany compared to the United States. Just to kind of give you a little idea, a little taste. So now that our tea's done, I'm just going to throw some milk in there, traditional Earl Grey with milk. But that's another thing that you'll notice that's different here in Germany is dairy products. And that was something that was really kind of a shocker for me when I first came over here, was that they don't have refrigerated, obviously they don't use gallons, so you don't have the big gallon jugs or half-gallon jugs of milk. But the other thing is they're not refrigerated. When we went to buy milk for the first time over here, I was like, it's not refrigerated. Is that still gonna be okay? It's just in little crates, and you just grab it, and it was like this, 1 liter containers, and you can store it without refrigerating it, and you can do that because it's all pasteurized. At first when we came over, I thought, is this like radiated, or how can they get away with this? It's just pasteurized. So it's just cooked up, it's just cooked to a certain temperature and then packaged like that. And you also have that with heavy whipping cream in the States that's also refrigerated, and it's really expensive actually. But here they have little tiny containers of, it's 200 milliliters, or 200 grams technically, they go by mass, of whipping cream, and that's also just pasteurized. So it also comes in a little carton. Same thing with coffee cream or stuff like that. So that's just something different. It's actually really convenient because you don't have to, you can just buy it, grab it, throw it in your pantry, just like that, and you don't have to refrigerate until after you open it. And I also want to give a shout out, since I'm using this cup, to my buddy Lenny, my friend Lenny, who I worked with on a couple EMS calls here and there occasionally. When I was back in Michigan, he worked for Chicago PD before moving to Michigan, then worked as a sheriff's deputy there. And so, shout out to you, Lenny. Thank you very much for your cup. It's got a service pistol and a service badge on there. And of course, the good old American flag. So, thanks, Lenny, again for your cup. We still use it every week. Whoa! A little privacy there, hey? No, just kidding. That's something else that's a little bit different here in Germany, the bathroom. Let's take a gander, I'll show you. Come on with. Alrighty, so, never thought I'd be showing my toilet online, but here we are. Something else that's different in Germany, especially in the household or when you go to businesses and use the toilet, is, and actually that brings up a good point that I just remembered now that I forgot before,
everybody in the States, when you go on a big family trip or something like that, if you go through a town, chances are you're always going to go to Walmart to go to the bathroom, right? In Walmart, the toilets are conveniently located in the front of the store. You can just go in and you can use the bathroom without thinking about it. You don't have to buy anything. You can just go in, slip in, do your business, and slip back out. Nobody's going to bother you. Nobody's going to do anything. That's normal, right? Same thing with the gas stations. Sometimes, I mean, well, usually when you go to the gas station, you pay, I guess. You can kind of get away with that sometimes with holiday or something like that. You just go in and you come out, and nobody's going to say anything to you. Here in Germany, that's not the case at all, and actually, it's viewed as rather rude if you don't pay, if you don't buy anything when you go into a grocery store or a gas station or something like that. You can't just go into a store and use their bathroom and go and leave. It doesn't work that way. And so that's kind of a culture shock that you'll come across here that is actually a pretty big deal sometimes. So most places, like there's a big shopping mall down the road a ways where they have a grocery store where if you go there, you know, we have a son, we ask him all the time, do you need to go? Because if you need to go, we can't go in the store, you have to go in the mall. So usually when you go in the mall, there's a place there where you technically don't have to pay, but they have like stewards or bathroom cleaner people who sit outside, and they have a little dish where you can tip them as you go in or come out. You're technically not mandated to do that, but it's kind of viewed as rude if you don't. So that's something that's also kind of new. Or they also have that on like the bathrooms in the Autobahn. Usually they'll have stewards there, or they'll have like a little thing. They'll actually have a thing where you have to pay 50 cents or so to go use the bathroom. They'll have one of those little gates where you have to go, pay, and the gates open up and you go through. They get away with that by when you come back out, you get a little coupon, and you can use that coupon in the gas station. So that's something that's you got to be wary of. That's a lot different than in the States. You can't just go in somewhere and expect to go to the bathroom. You got to actually kind of map it out a little bit.
Furthermore, in Europe, when you're looking for the bathroom, you're looking for this sign, WC, or as the Germans say, WC. It means water closet. That's the bathroom.
But now that I told you that, let's get to the main thing, what I was talking about in here. The flushing mechanism on the toilets obviously work the same. Water comes down and flushes everything away. But you'll have a button here that's a little bit bigger on one side compared to the other side. This one is just one button. Usually if you go into, I think the more modern ones now, this house is a little bit older, the more newer toilets, they have actually two buttons. They have a big button on the outside and like a smaller button on the inside. And it's that way because in Germany, they're a little bit more conscientious about being green and whatnot, that they actually have you can flush the toilet and then you can stop it manually. So you're not wasting water when you flush. But at any rate, you can shut this off after you're done. If you only need a little bit to flush with, just use a little bit and then stop it. Or like I said, in the more modern toilets, they also have the bigger button. So if you want a full flush or whatever, use that button. Then you can stop that by hitting the smaller button again. Or if you only want a small flush, you just hit the small button. So my point is, when you go in, if you ever go into a bathroom in Germany, don't be overwhelmed by the numerous buttons on the toilet. It's no big deal. Big button to flush, little button to stop it, or you can just let it run if you want to. When you hit the big button, it'll stop on its own. So that's something that's different. So forgive me for the lighting on this one. It's really hard to get good lighting in here because it's really bright outside and it's really dark inside, and the lights here in the house are not all that, or in this bedroom at least, are not all that great. But the other thing that I wanted to show you that's pretty cool that you'll notice is a lot different here in Germany compared to the United States are the windows. And you can actually play a cool trick on somebody if they haven't experienced this before. So windows, your typical ones, open them this way. It's a normal window, right? However, sometimes the wind gets to be a little bit too much, but maybe it's still hot inside, so you want to have the window open, but you don't want to have it open all the way, and otherwise you'll get the problem with the window slamming open and shut and everything else. So what do? Well, take it, flip it up, and then the windows roll back, or they tip back. So that's kind of a cool thing that it's pretty fascinating. I mean, it's a really cool design, and I don't know why they don't have that in the States, or maybe they do have that in the States in certain areas. But that's something that you'll definitely notice here in Germany that's characteristic of everything. And a cool trick that you can do to play a joke on somebody is you go and obviously you set the window beforehand, and you go and ask them, hey, can you go check the window for me? And then it tips forward like that, and they freak out, and they think that the window's gonna fall in on them. So that's pretty cool. So I think with that, we're gonna wrap this episode up here. I hope this was interesting to you and you're able to take a little bit of information from it. This was just an episode to kind of dip our feet into what's different here in Germany. It wasn't an all exhaustive episode of everything that's different or absolutely everything that's the same, just to kind of give you a little bit of an idea of what you would see right away and what you noticed right away when you got off the plane here, if you were to come to Germany. So if you liked this material that we went through, if this was interesting to you, please consider hitting the like button, subscribing to the channel if you haven't already done so, and maybe even potentially sharing a link to this episode or this channel so that other people can see what it's like here in Germany, life in Germany. And with that, I will say goodbye for this episode, and we'll see you next time. Take care. Thanks for watching. And hi to everybody there in the UP from here in Germany. Take care.